Welcome everyone to Chasing the Light, a monthly tarot vibe or forecast. All right, so let's get to it because I like to make these nice, short, and sweet, though there was a lot of stuff happening in September. Remember last month I said I used the word explosive, right? A lot. And I was speaking in particular about revelations that the moon does, which is to reveal in the dark corners of the night. And I also mentioned that whatever happened in September was a powerful surge of energy because the hermit was being highlighted twice, right? And that meant that we were going to be seeing things that were occurring in the dark of night come to light. I also stated that there would be some things that were going to be felt worldwide and things with water. Um, anyway, this is just off the top of my head, but one of the things that occurred was that there was a massive Epstein document release that really didn't shed any light that we didn't see, but his estate, the Epstein estate, turned over new unredacted logs and ledgers that are still being reviewed. And there was a big push in Congress and public pressure, really, from the survivors of this trafficking of young girls is the best that how I can identify that for right now. There was also a fallout in the United Kingdom, in the UK, on the ambassador being fired over birthday book revelations that came out, this dramatic development where the government removed, I think it was uh, Peter something or other, from his post as ambassador to the US. That happened. Also, we saw protest movements surge globally. We saw it in Nepal, we saw it in Ecuador, we saw it in Italy, we saw it in France, we saw it even in Madagascar, right? Like, and they were for different things, but the majority of it was to protest against corruption, right? We haven't seen it yet in the United States, but watch out in October. And also, remember when I said that there were explosions or I felt like a lot of water energy? I did talk about the hurricane, but I used the word explosive and water at the same time. And I think that what was coming through there was the US strikes on boats linked to the Venezuela and the Caribbean, allegedly for quote unquote, they were called drug boats, right? So we still don't know exactly what that was all about, but we know it occurred. And then there was a second strike. I think there were two strikes on Venezuelan drug vessels in September. And of course, the one off the Dominican Republic as well. And then we saw what occurred with the boat that was going to Gaza, the flotilla, actually. And the flotilla was sorry about that, was a global flotilla where civilian and activists were delivering humanitarian supplies to those in Gaza. And I believe it launched from Barcelona, from Spain. And there's different claims of what happened. Some say there were drone attacks on the flotilla. Some say that it was completely unfounded. There were no drone attacks. Others claiming that there were explosions. Some claiming that, that was not possible because there were no reported casualties, etc. The point is, there was some sort of an explosion that happened in the area. And all of these explosion or drone attacks can be independently verified as well. So you can see that the other thing that I wanted to talk about was investigations that were going on in Epstein's Zorro Ranch, and there were new investigations that were being opened and probed about regarding visitors there, and I think more things are going to be revealed from that ranch, and we shall see what what comes out. But again, these are all things that the archetypes of the hermit and the fool kind of brought about on a more global scale. And I also wanted to say that there was a lot of flood and rain and water related events here in the United States, with a lot of flash floods and um, just, yeah, just a lot of flash floods. I just remember something in Arizona here in the United States, somewhere in Kansas. There was a flash flood in India where there were about 20 reported deaths, um, or 12, something like that. And yeah, so the water was like a big deal. There were also landslides that happened in California, in also again in India and in Alaska as well, these huge landslides because of the water. And of course, the government shutdown here in the United States culminated, or there was no agreement by September 30th. And at the strike of 12, we have here in the United States a full government shutdown. And what that means is that certain services are disrupted pretty bad. And although Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the military, air traffic controllers, TSA, those are not going to be affected, nor the U.S. Postal Services or federal courts. Those are going to be remaining open. But what's affected are national parks and monuments, the IRS, partials, food programs for women and infant and children, and also assistance, federal assistance for children, um, and people in need of home and food. About 800,000 federal employees have since this morning been working without pay or furloughed. And there are inevitable delays with passport applications and visa processing, right? So all of these have been shut down, and including NASA, by the way. And I think I will put a video out on this three-eye atlas thing that everyone's talking about. But NASA is also being shut down, certainly its skeletal part here. So I'm not sure we'll get any new images of what's going on in the skies because of it, but we shall see. But the longer the shutdown occurs, the more dangerous zone we get into. And that's a perfect segue to the players of this month of October. So let's go on to the next slide so we can talk about what's going to happen. All right, so I'm going to try to take this very slow because this is an important month. Oh, and I forgot to mention last month, there was a big shift that occurred here in the United States with the unaliving of Charlie Kirk. And I think a lot will continue to be revealed. But remember when I spoke last month that there was going to be a shift of some sort. Something was going to tick off, a change in time, really. And for the United States, which has been, in case everyone out there hasn't noticed, a big player in how the world right now is reacting to us, basically. And yeah, I keep an eye out for that in Revelations on that. So, what do you see up in the screen? We have the Hermit. Remember, the Hermit is going to follow us throughout the entire year. So you are being guided to continue to hold that light. And this time, I kind of feel like very much energetically, I want you to hold on tight to the light, because it's going to be really rough in October, specifically, I feel, for the United States. So you see here that you have two additional tarot players, and we have the Wheel of Fortune and the Sun. And whenever we speak of the Wheel of Fortune, I gotta tell you something, okay? When I'm doing this kind of a collective reading, I really am zooming out. When you zoom out with tarot, it's not the same as when you do one-on-one readings, okay? So I just wanted to emphasize that because it's just a different energy. The Wheel of Fortune is a movement. And in the bigger picture of things, it is a movement that galvanizes the masses. Okay? So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then you have the sun. The sun creates the will. So when you have the will of the people, of the collective to move, we're going to see it, right? And we're going to feel it. Because the wheel, and I don't like using this word, but the wheel is about revolutions, rotations, and change. Change that's going to be either for the better or for the worse, because it is a fated change. In other words, the change that is upon us cannot be changed. I love how a lot of people are like, oh, this prediction or that prediction didn't come true because timelines changed. No, no, it didn't change. It's really important. Maybe I will do this 3i Atlas thing. It's super important that you guys stay on planet Earth and stay grounded in your body, okay? There was no time life shift. If you got it wrong, you got it wrong. I'll be the first one to say I got something wrong, right? Like I'm giving you guys these snippets in the beginning of these videos so you could see how it relates to the bigger global picture. But no, we're not going through a timeline change. We were supposed to go through everything that we're supposed to go through, right? And the Wheel of Fortune is something that turns everything upside down. And this is very much associated with that hanged man, right? From that perspective of the hanged man. The difference between the perspective of the hanged man and the Wheel of Fortune, when the Wheel of Fortune turns something upside down, is that the wheel demands that we do something. The hangman doesn't. It just asks you to be in the state of suspension. So the wheel is something that's moving to prepare us for a significant life change. And in both cases of the Hanged Man and the Wheel of Fortune, we do have something that's called a sacrifice, which I always say means to make something sacred. And our suffering may come from the fact that our values, our belief systems, and our experiences are going to be turned upside down. Oh, one more thing that I wanted to mention, and you guys can look this up. A huge revelation that happened in September that nobody's talking about, and that YouTube had to pay the administration here, the government, money on YouTube's alleged shadow banning of certain things. One of those things is revelations that came out of the inoculations that occurred as a result of that thing that happened in 2020. I literally have to speak in codes, guys, because my last video was actually shadow banned. I guess I didn't speak in code enough, but research that and see what occurred and what was revealed last month, and that was major. That's big revelation. That's ginormous revelation that hardly no one knows about. But going back to October. So when we see this Wheel of Fortune, we are seeing the mystical path opening up before us, and it's asking us the following. What is it that you need to know to put things in its right place, in its rightful place? Okay? And so from this collective perspective, the Wheel of Fortune undoubtedly is a cycle of change that's going to be occurring. It feels like it's here in the United States, but obviously it will be impact the global sphere. And whenever we see the Wheel of Fortune, it does rule time and fortune, right? And it's a symbol of the transcendence of time and space, right? So it's a very powerful symbol for us to see towards the end of the year. I mean, it's October, November, December, folks. I mean, we're almost there. And when we see the Wheel of Fortune in a one-to-one reading, for example, I always tell people don't control, right? Don't control everything. When we see it in a global perspective, we collectively can take the wheel and create our own fortune. And that's what it's going to do. It's going to have people taking the wheel. I think because I feel it in the United States because of the government shutdown. And the longer that goes on, the more people will be feeling frustrated. And I think that this administration had zero intent to negotiate anything because they want the government to shut down. Okay. And yeah, we'll see what occurs with that. But the point is that the Wheel of Fortune does not recognize this linear time, but rather the fated time, right? So a lot of this month feels incredibly fated. Fated, meaning like destiny, fated. Actually, destiny and fated are two different things, but you know what I'm saying. And right next to the Wheel of Fortune for October, we see the Sun card. And the Sun card is us. It is humanity. It is the self. It is the ego process. It's also the number of unity, which is all about this 1-9 number, the number of unity and singularity, which is, again, the self. And it's a favorable card. I mean, listen, when you see the Wheel of Fortune and the Sun card like this, together, it's actually good luck. And like if somebody got this on a one-to-one reading, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And also in the collective level, we are being asked, hey, do you want happiness? Do you want pleasure? Do you want peace? Well, you're going to have to take the wheel. And it's you. It's the bigger picture of the bigger self, humanity, right? And the sun, I want to say something. I don't have these cards up here because I'm using a different deck for the chasing of the light. And if you find this long, you can speed it up, by the way, because I think this one will be a little bit long. But one of the things that this Wyatt Smith deck has is that you have a child on a horse, and this child is holding uh, a red flag, and the red flag is significant because it is the child Christed like reference, the Christos, right? But it's the Christos that is the Christ returning with this robe dipped in blood, meaning that there is a striking of the nations is what Wyatt Smith understood it when Christ returns after the apocalypse, after the trials and tribulations, right? And comes back to the nations to rule with the rod of iron. So we have to be very vigilant as to which direction we collectively will take this wheel and how we want to be, quote unquote, seen, right, as the center, as that sun card energy is reflective of the center, which is us, the self, right? And this is going to bring up a lot of powerful emotions, but specifically emotions that have been pent up collectively, kind of coming out and thrusting us into the scene, basically, because certainly in the United States, we've been laying low. But I think in October, this may not be the case because the sun demands that we take 100% full responsibility for our actions. And it's asking us to lead front and center. It's very Leo energy, right? Like that in the sense of the sun. Lead front and center and decide which way you want your fortune to go. So this is not a month where we're going to be laying low. Something is going to happen. It's going to brew, right? We also saw the debacle of bringing these generals over to be spoken at, not spoken with, spoken at the military here in the United States. So that's something to watch out for as well. All right, that's the some of what's coming through for October. Let's just all pray that we take the wheel in the right direction. Yeah, and everybody stay safe. And I love you. And don't forget, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, give me some comments, some love. I want to start growing the channel, get a lot of these messages out there, and yeah, so we can have more offerings. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.